This message is not for everyone. It is for the person who feels, deep in their heart, that something inside them has permanently shifted. Recently, your life changed in a way that cannot be reversed. It may not be loud. It may not be visible on the outside. But inside, you know you are not the same person anymore. Other people may not see it clearly, but they can feel it. Your energy feels different. Your presence feels different. The way you carry yourself feels different. And the people who once stood beside you as equals are now sensing a gap they cannot explain. You did not transform to impress anyone. You did not evolve to compete. This was not a performance. This was growth. Real growth is quiet. It happens in the mind, in the heart, in the spirit. And when someone truly evolves, it naturally creates distance from people who are not evolving at the same level. That distance is not something you forced. It is something that happened because your frequency changed. There are people watching you right now. Some of them are confused. Some are uncomfortable. Some are even upset. They are not angry because you hurt them. You did not attack them. You did not destroy them. What bothers them is that you became calm. You stopped reacting. You stopped explaining yourself. You stopped trying to prove your worth. You stopped asking for validation. And when you stopped reacting, you removed their power over you. The biggest shift is not what you are doing. It is what you are no longer doing. You are no longer defending yourself to people who misunderstand you. You're no longer chasing approval from those who never planned to give it. You are no longer arguing to be heard. You are no longer lowering your standards to keep peace. Your silence has become powerful. Your calm has become untouchable. Your energy now speaks before you even say a word. You are no longer available at the level where they left you. You are not responding from pain anymore. You are not reacting from insecurity. You are not operating from fear. And that emotional stability is shaking people more than you realize. Whether it is one person or a group of people, there are individuals who feel the shift in you very strongly. They sense that they can no longer access you the way they used to. If you have noticed that people are watching you quietly, if you have felt a sudden deep peace after a long season of chaos, if you feel emotionally strong in a way that surprises even you, understand that this is not accidental. You did not lose anything. You outgrew it. And now everything around you is rearranging itself to match who you have become. There were people who tried to bring you down. Some tried directly. Others did it subtly. Some may have tried to influence others against you. Some may have hoped you would fail. But when they realized they could not break you, when they saw that their efforts did not destroy your confidence, something shifted inside them. Their frustration is not because you harmed them. It is because they lost control over you. Influence was their power, and you quietly removed it. Many people misunderstand what a true glow-up is. They think it is about appearance. They think it is about material success. But your transformation is internal. It is energetic. It is emotional maturity. It is self-respect. It is the moment you stop negotiating your worth just to stay connected to people who did not value you properly. There were individuals who benefited from the older version of you, the version who was always available, the version who overexplained, the version who tolerated disrespect, the version who doubted themselves and stayed small to keep others comfortable. But the moment you started trusting your intuition, the moment you stopped shrinking, the moment you chose peace over chaos, you disrupted a dynamic they depended on. Now they cannot reach you emotionally the same way. They cannot manipulate you the same way. They cannot trigger you the same way. That loss of access feels destabilizing to them. You may have noticed how quiet certain people have become. People who once acted close. People who once wanted constant access to your time and energy. Now they're distant. Maybe they are isolating themselves. Maybe they are pretending not to care. And yet, you feel more peaceful without their presence. That is not coincidence. That is alignment. You are not being rejected. You are being repositioned. Sometimes people are removed from your life not because you failed, but because you are being prepared for something greater. The environments that once fit you can no longer contain who you are becoming. The connections that once felt normal now feel heavy. The chaos that once surrounded you no longer matches your inner calm. You did not rise to compete with anyone. You rose because you were ready. And as you continue to trust yourself, as you continue to protect your peace, the right people will align with this new version of you. The ones who cannot adjust will fall away naturally. That is not loss. That is growth. That is evolution. And that is your new reality. They thought you would stay small, but now they can't even stand in the same space as you. There was a time when you were surrounded by the wrong people, standing in environments that never truly valued who you were. You may not have realized it fully back then, but you were shrinking yourself just to survive in those spaces. You were adjusting your light so others wouldn't feel uncomfortable. You were tolerating what didn't align with you because you believed that was the only way to belong. But something shifted. And when you began to rise, it forced everyone around you to face their own limitations. Your growth became a mirror. And not everyone likes what they see in a mirror. Right now, your elevation is visible. This is not quiet internal growth anymore. This is public. People can see it in the way you carry yourself. They can hear it in your voice. They can feel it in your energy. You are no longer operating from survival mode. You are no longer chasing approval or seeking validation. There is a calm authority about you now, a grounded confidence. And the most powerful part is that you are not trying to prove anything. You are not announcing your transformation. You are not explaining yourself. You simply became different. And they feel it. The ones who once doubted you, underestimated you, or tried to limit you are now watching from a distance. They are observing silently, trying to understand how you escaped the version of yourself they had already defined. They are confused because you didn't follow their script. You didn't compete in their race. You didn't depend on their approval. You stopped copying. You stopped adjusting. You stopped asking for permission. You simply chose yourself. That decision changed everything. There were people who genuinely believed they had you figured out. They thought they could influence you forever. They assumed they had outmaneuvered you emotionally and psychologically. Some even believed your story had ended exactly where they left you. They thought you would always stay within the limits they placed on you. But your story did not end. It evolved. And your transformation disrupted their narrative. It forced them to admit that they misjudged you. It proved that you were never weak, never behind, never incapable. You were just becoming. And now, you have become someone they can no longer control. That loss of control is what is creating panic. You have become unpredictable to them, and unpredictability removes their sense of security. When they could predict you, they felt powerful. When they thought they understood you, they felt in control. But now, you move differently. You think differently. You respond differently. You no longer react from emotion. You respond from awareness. And that awareness has made you untouchable in a way they never expected. The truth is, you never had bad intentions toward anyone. You were kind. You were open. You were generous with your energy because you were strong inside. Your softness was never weakness. It was strength. But some people mistook your kindness for dependency. They believed you needed them more than they needed you. They were wrong. The real shift happened when you realized you did not need validation to feel complete. You did not need someone else's approval to grow. You did not need to shrink yourself to be loved. The moment you stopped abandoning yourself, your entire reality began to change. You stopped seeking. You stopped chasing. You stopped explaining. And you started standing. That is when your power became undeniable. Now there is a correction happening in your life. What once felt unfair is balancing out. What was blocked is opening. What was delayed is finally moving forward. Opportunities are appearing. Recognition is finding you. Your momentum is building quickly, almost unexpectedly. But this is not random luck. This is earned positioning. Every struggle built resilience. Every disappointment created wisdom. Every betrayal strengthened your discernment. Every time you survived something difficult, you gained authority over your own life. And now life is responding to that authority. The same people who once underestimated you are starting to see you differently. They no longer see you as someone they can manipulate. They see you as rare, authentic, elevated. You have become exclusive without trying to be. Your presence feels limited, not because you are isolating yourself, but because you have raised your standards. Not everyone has access to you anymore, and that realization is uncomfortable for those who once took you for granted. They think about you more than you realize, not with peace, but with confusion, not with clarity, but with anxiety. They're trying to understand how you leveled up so fast, how you became so unreachable, how you stepped beyond the version of yourself they once knew. The answer is simple. You stopped abandoning yourself. You chose growth over comfort. You chose self respect over approval. You chose alignment over attachment. And because of that, your life is accelerating. You are entering a phase of rapid forward movement. Recognition, alignment, opportunities, they are not coincidences. They are reflections of your internal shift. You are no longer shrinking to be digestible. And the people who benefited from your smallness are struggling to adjust. But their discomfort is not your responsibility. You are not rising for revenge. You are not evolving to prove a point. You're simply aligning with who you truly are. And when truth rises, it naturally reveals everything else. They are finally recognizing your authority. They see your elevation clearly now. They understand that you are no longer operating at their level. And whether they admit it or not, they respect you in a way they never did before. Because you did the one thing they never expected. You grew beyond them. The most unexpected thing you were missing all this time wasn't love, attention, or opportunity. It was respect. Real respect. The kind that doesn't need to be announced. The kind that sits quietly in people's hearts when they finally realize who you truly are. Even those who once doubted you, questioned you, or overlooked you have been forced to see you differently now. Your elevation demanded acknowledgement. Your growth became undeniable. And whether they ever say it out loud or not no longer matters, because you've reached a point where you don't need to hear it to know it's true. This is not the beginning of your glow up. This is the moment others are finally catching up to the transformation you've already been living. You stepped into your power long before they noticed. You did the inner work when no one was clapping for you. You healed in silence. You rebuilt yourself when people thought you were finished. And now your presence alone carries weight. When you enter a space, something shifts. You don't have to explain yourself anymore. You don't feel the urge to defend your story. Your silence speaks with authority. Your calm energy commands more respect than arguments ever could. The people who once underestimated you are dealing with something they didn't expect. It's not punishment. It's balance. When someone builds their confidence by standing on someone else's light, eventually that light is removed. And when it disappears, they don't know how to function on their own. Some of them relied on your energy, your kindness, your effort, or even your silence to feel powerful. Now that you've stepped back into your own alignment, they feel the absence. Their systems are unstable because they were never built on authenticity. They were built on comparison, control, or validation from others. You were never that way. You never moved with bad intentions. Even when you were hurt, you didn't become cruel. Even when you were doubted, you didn't try to destroy anyone's name. You stayed genuine. You stayed focused on your growth. And because of that, your rise became permanent. When elevation comes from integrity, it cannot be taken away. When it comes from healing, it cannot be shaken. The forces that once tried to block you, manipulate you, or dim your shine are no longer allowed access to you. It's not dramatic. It's natural. When you rise in frequency, anything that does not match it simply falls away. You don't have to fight battles anymore. Alignment fights for you. Protection surrounds you without effort. What tried to hold you down can no longer reach you. And here's the truth they may never admit. They were wrong about you. Completely wrong. Their assumptions, their judgments, their doubts all collapsed under the weight of your consistency. You kept evolving. You kept glowing. You kept proving, not through words, but through results, that you were always the real one. Now they carry a quiet respect within themselves. It may be unspoken, but it's real. It's heavy. It's humbling. You've entered a phase where you don't chase recognition anymore. You don't need applause. You don't need to convince anyone of your worth. You embody it. Your energy speaks before you do. Your presence commands without demanding. That is power. That is sovereignty. That is what happens when someone chooses healing over bitterness, growth over ego, and self awareness over revenge. This chapter of your life is not temporary. It's not luck. It's not coincidence. It's earned. You transformed quietly, and now the world responds loudly. Your elevation is not something that can be reversed because it didn't come from outside validation. It came from within you. And once you see yourself clearly, no one can blur that vision again. You are no longer shrinking. You are no longer explaining. You are no longer seeking approval. You are standing in your truth fully, and the world has adjusted to meet you there. The person who once underestimated you is now thinking about you more than you realize. At one point, they failed to see your true worth. They may have assumed you would always be there. They may have believed they had more control over the situation than they actually did. That something shifted. You shifted. And now they are seeing you in a completely different light. This message is here to remind you of your strength. You don't need outside validation to confirm who you are. You were always valuable. You were always powerful. The difference now is that you are beginning to fully understand it. When you start carrying yourself with quiet confidence, everything around you changes. People feel it. They respond to it. They notice it. There is someone who deeply regrets underestimating you. They may not openly admit it, but internally, they know they misjudged you. They didn't recognize your depth, your loyalty, your emotional strength. They thought they had time. They thought they could return whenever they wanted. But now they feel the distance. They sense that you are no longer waiting in the same way. Their desire for you has grown stronger. What once felt casual now feels serious. What once seemed easy now feels uncertain. They think about you often. They replay conversations. They wonder if you have moved on. There is a strong pull toward you, and it's not just attraction, it's realization. They understand that losing you would mean losing something rare. At the same time, they are thinking about their next move. They are not as confident as before. They hesitate. They question whether you would even respond the way you used to. They feel your growth. They sense that you are more grounded now, more self-aware, and less willing to accept less than you deserve. That change in you makes them pause. Your life is already entering a new chapter. Even if everything looks calm on the surface, internally you have transformed. You think differently. You react differently. You protect your energy more carefully. You're no longer shrinking yourself to fit into spaces that don't honor you. That inner shift is powerful. Your strength is no longer hidden. It's steady and calm. It doesn't need attention to be real. It's the kind of power that comes from self-respect. When you value yourself, others begin to realize your value too. And the person who once overlooked you now understands that you are not someone who can be easily replaced. Right now, your energy feels protected. You are less reactive and more balanced. You are not chasing or forcing anything. You are allowing what is meant for you to come naturally. That level of confidence changes everything. Keep focusing on yourself. Keep choosing peace. Keep honoring your growth. What is meant for you will move toward you in the right time. The most important thing is that you remain aligned with your own strength. You are no longer someone who can be underestimated. You have stepped into a higher version of yourself. And whether others choose to act on their feelings or not, one thing is certain. Your energy now demands respect without asking for it.